So I think that's really important. And when also communicating with the client about the campaigns and the results, you need to be honest. You need to let them know what's the real story here. If you're just looking to keep it for a month and then 1 month and month after another, you're not going anywhere. You're just wasting your time and resources for something short term. Why not focus on the vision, which is also a long-term strategy, to also to capitalize on that, both for the client and yourself, because every effort that you put in, it's not wasted.
Hi guys, welcome to the Digital Wellness Advantage, helping marketing executives build sustainable brands without burning out. And today we have with us Paul, who some of you know from the last couple of episodes, doing our best to lead the studio team, and Gasper, one of our youngest members, but not at all the least experienced one. So today we are here to talk about slightly different topic. While everything is being automated, uh, digital world is living via algorithms, and sometimes we forget that at the end it's about humans, interaction, and relationships. So the idea is, to understand better why human trust still wins in marketing. And that's the topic for today's discussion, Paul and Gaspar. So welcome. And yeah, I would like to hear your opinion about this topic. While everything is, all the world is talking about AI and automations and efficiency, and where are the relationships? What's happening there? Gaspar, what's your opinion on that? Because I know that you are talking a lot with different international brands. You see various challenges. So how we are dealing with this in this challenging, faster and faster world?
First of all, thank you, Matej, for the introduction. Quite nice. Thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting topic that you pointed out, and I think it really comes down to evolution and how people were trusting of each other because they had to work as a tribe at the beginning. And to work as a tribe, you need the certain trust. You need to trust your team members. Everyone has their own tasks. And then if you look at, let's say, agencies, for example, our agency specifically, we also like to represent ourselves as a tribe because everyone has a specific task that needs to be done. And if that task is successfully completed, the whole tribe can eat, can drink, can thrive. But if one key element of that tribe fails, all the other pieces also are more likely to fall down as dominoes. So it's interesting that now we're likely to trust a computer more than an actual human being because we're so involved with the digital products such as computers, telephones, tablets, TVs, everything, because we gather information for that. And as we gather information, we also build trust. And why do we build trust? Because we like the information that is being fed to us. So I think it's a very interesting question that needs to be discussed a bit more because people will always be more likely to believe things that they like, not the actual truth. So this is kind of my first point into this conversation.
Well, I know that you were, I think in the 90s, yeah, or earlier, when this information revolution started and internet everything. As I remember, it's like I was very young, but I think you were actually part of this. There were different waves and things, and cycles and things are changing constantly. So how do you see that? Yeah, how are things? Let's say in the 90s, in the business, yeah, in the business relationships and also in the families, yeah. And how do you see things right now, where things are now and where they are going? Do you agree that this is like automation trap? What's happening and how to bypass it? Yeah, how to overcome this?
Yeah, I think traps are always around, and the whole thing comes back to relationships and trust and respect, exactly what you guys are talking about, whether it was then or now. Yeah? And it can be an automation trap. For a lot of people, it will be. It is already, and it will be even more so. But I think those who are willing to kind of step back and not run with things can actually use it to their advantage. Stepping back, looking at things. In the 80s, right, just quickly mentioning, the whole thing of the internet and how the whole world changed then. In 1989, I started working for a company building computers, but 88, 89, but we were doing that with DOS. Windows hadn't arrived as yet, And then, of course, with Windows coming along and making it, because not everyone had access to Macintosh those days. Yeah, those days Macintosh was very limited to certain types of companies only. Yeah, and it was expensive. Yeah, so most people were on DOS until Windows came along, and that changed everything. And then, of course, the internet accelerated things, and the 90s, as you know, they just accelerated and changed everything. And by the time we came into 2000, digital technology started to affect our lives in an even bigger way from 2000 onwards. But going back a little bit to the 80s, yeah, before the 90s. In the 80s, I remember when I was studying, I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, a good 4 or 5 years studying economics and politics and mathematics. And, those were the Margaret Thatcher days, yeah. And it was very interesting, huge changes. It's where Britain moved from manufacturing to services. They became mainly a hugely service-based economy. And before that, they were manufacturing. And services, this is what we do, and you can see how much trust is required. Yeah. So what's interesting is that what we learned in economics and politics is what most people do not see. In the 80s, yeah? The indexes for inflation, the statistics for elections, they were being played upon. They were being created from some sort of a real base, but they were manipulated even those days. It's not just happening now. It was even those days. So trust at the highest level, highest level, is questionable. Why am I mentioning this? I not to point fingers who is right, who is wrong, who's doing something against themselves, against society, but to bring it back to where this started, their relationships and tribes. So if it's a tribal situation, there is a chance. If it's a family situation or a smaller situation, there is a chance that this trust could work based on respect, based on relationships being looked at seriously, and worked at. But the moment it's bigger, it's a bigger operation. the trust element is almost impossible. You know, in a corporate structure, there's no way people are going to trust each other. Very few of them. It's mainly compete, and I'll get that job and you're out. That's how most of the larger operations work. So coming back to what you guys were starting with, the tribal situation, so smaller, and this is directly related to what we are trying to learn to achieve with the marketing, digital marketing, and branding ideas. If we can keep the project specific, smaller, or something akin, something similar to a tribal process, then we have a chance of building this trust with our clients, right? Also within our team, working together as a team rather than ousting each other or competing in performance and stabbing each other in the back. So I think, you know, the relationships have to be continuously worked upon because people change. I've changed, you've changed, we all change. So relationships have to be worked on, and if we can keep it smaller, then we have a good chance. We have a chance of building this trust. Now, how does this relate to to the client? If the client feels they can trust us, we can do magic together. But if the client feels that they can't trust us entirely, you've seen what happens. They want to bring someone else in internally, and then this internal person will question and start to mess around with the campaigns, and the owner or the person who's in charge of pulling the money strings may not even know what's going on. So marketing, branding, digital campaigns, whether people like it or not, they are linked to decision making. They are linked to running the company. They can't be separated. And this is one of the big issues with communication. Because we try and do this communication on a regular basis internally and externally, but the moment that breaks down or there isn't trust, there's going to be issues, and there's going to be issues for the statistics, for the results, for the profit, and then who messed up, and so on and so on, and then of course to get longevity or to get long-term strategy based on that, that's even more difficult. So maybe I'm going far too wide and far too deep, but the point I'm trying to make is from different angles that this trust that you guys are bringing up and the relationship building, and it's got to be there. The more you have of that, the easier it's going to be to achieve some sort of success.
I don't know if any of you saw. There are many, people are playing around, and they put two LLMs or two AIs together, and they're chatting. Yeah, you put a voice mode, yeah, and one says something, another one replies, yeah, and they're having super efficient automated dialogue, yeah. But can we say this is a dialogue? Yeah, to me it was quite boring. It was super efficient. They actually exchange so much information that human mind rationally can't. Yeah. But a lot of data without real human dialogue. Yeah. So
well, this brings us back to the fact that even in mid 20th century or even before, data communication information was manipulated. Or even let's go back 2,000 years ago, history about maybe 1500, history about Henry VIII, or before that, history written about Caesar. Who wrote that? Who paid him to write that? Or how we understand the whole process of the Vatican, who was actually hired to write and put it down. So the data that we rely on, that we import into our hearts, our minds, into our campaigns online that we use, how much of it is actually 100% correct? I'm not going to say it's truthful or it's a lie. Don't want to go down that way. Yeah? But is it correct? And how do we ascertain? So here, this whole thing of trust and relationship, building the human factor, Matej, what you guys are talking about, the human factor is key factor. How do we keep the human factor? Because the digital reality and blockchain and the way we work online is not going away. And automation is just going to carry on, and people will have to work differently. But how do we keep, Gaspar, you are the younger one here. There's quite a number of years between myself and you. So how do you see because obviously the viewers don't know, but you have an interesting history with your family, that your family has been running a wine business for a long time, and you're also involved in that, and your family is successful for a very long time, commercially selling this wine to restaurants, to establishments, and so on. So there has to be not just business process, but a lot of trust there to keep it all in the family, and keep the whole, because it's quite a big operation to keep the whole thing going. How do you see, how are we going to, with these models that are coming along in automation, how are we going to keep the human factor in this digital reality?
So I like the connection you made between trust and relationships. And to build trust within those relationships, you also need time. And for example, you can only have as many relationships as you can handle, because everything takes time. You can't build real deep trust if you don't have time to build that. So I really like that when you pointed trust and relationships, because is it a relationship if it isn't a trust? So talking between humans, yes, it can be a visual relationship, as in, yeah, we work together and that's it. At the end of the day, we don't care what is happening to one another, what are their challenges, and so on. So let's say in our case, for example, for our family, it's important to know what we want to achieve, that we have a common goal, and we all work together towards that. Because at the end, what more is there to do than to have a nice dinner and have a nice glass of wine along with that, and that you can do it in peace. There's nowhere to hurry. There's no sleepless nights because of the so many unrelated things that can happen. And that's what I want to say, is that if you're at peace with what you do and how you do it, I think that's also very good for your business and for yourself. And once you get that combination of those, I think there's only way forward.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. No, please go ahead, Matej.
But ironically, when you're working on, with different brands together, with them, and especially e-commerce, yeah, there is no other pillar, just, sales, numbers, yeah, and conversion, and clients coming back, yeah. So I think that for all three of us, yeah, marketing, especially this modern digital marketing, is a challenge, because either we like it or not, it is a double-edged sword. We are repeating this a lot, and depends into what you use it. But still, you can't avoid manipulation. It's still a certain sort of manipulation, yeah, when you are trying to build trust on scale. And usually when we are, let's say when you're working with a brand, running the campaigns, or, let's say paid media, that's especially popular, just numbers and performance, yeah. How do you see, do you actually think that real communication actually converts, in the campaigns that you are doing, yeah? and how to actually do that. How to do that in the campaigns? Yeah, quite limited.
There's one word that Paul really likes to use, and that it's clarity. So I think that's really important. And when also communicating with the client about the campaigns and the results, you need to be honest. You need to let them know what's the real story here, what are the real results. Because if you're just looking to, hey, let's try to keep it for a month, and then 1 month and month after another, you're not going anywhere. You're just wasting your time and resources for something short term. Why not focus on the vision, which is also a long-term strategy, to also to capitalize on that, both for the client and yourself, because every effort that you put in, it's not wasted, because your brand gets seen by thousands and thousands of people, and some people will remember your brand. It will remember what it offers, how it functions, and let's say at one point in the future, when they come across your brand, they're most likely to remember it because you have created a connection with them, either through screen or outdoor advertising. But let's stay with digital for now, because that's where we spend most of our time. If it's for some, it's work related, for some, so that they can enjoy, play games, watch movies, whatever. But once you make that connection in their heads, it's also an investment in your brand, because it gets known, either it's in one country or the 10, 30, or the whole world. And I think that's really interesting to also speak with the client, discuss, and make plans for that moment in the future. So in paid advertising, we're mostly looking short term, let's say past 30 days, how the performance was. But rarely we spoke about the future and how to use the future for us.
But for the future, né? Because we're also taking on clients, right? Yeah. So, and here we're talking about, how to have this intelligent way and peaceful way, and lower stress levels. How to have this meaningful way of working. Right? But you know very well that, I mean, the three of us, maybe we've in our own way, we're not rich, but in some sort of way, each one has found a way to have emotional strength, not just intellectual strength towards the work, but emotional strength to hold to a philosophy. Yeah, but how would you guys treat or deal with clients or partners? Who are running and cannot speak and are desperate. They're afraid of this, that, the other, not fitting in, not having enough money, or not being successful, and they want to run. So how do you deal with that? And they can be clients, or they can be a third-party service providers. They can be an internal team member. But this happens a lot in today's world. People running and actually not seeing the bigger picture. So, and this directly, sorry for asking you this question, but how you deal with that, but that directly affects ultimately the results of the campaigns and how effective the money is, because the whole strategy can go to pot because of that. So
Let's be honest.
Matej,
It's
how
almost
yeah.
It's almost impossible to change anyone else. Yeah. As we know, the biggest work is on ourselves. Yeah. So, being the example, of actually walking what we are talking right now. Yeah. I think that's the best way. Yeah? But the challenge is to have patience and trust in the process. Yeah. That's the challenge, because some will agree with that, some won't agree. And sometimes it happened that some people agree with this, 10 years after. It happened even with us, that you start to speak with somebody. It can be business context or it can be a private conversation. Yeah, and you show with example. Yeah, that there is a easier or better way. Yeah. But people are trapped in we are trapped in our own mind processes, yeah, and we are not ready to accept new philosophy, new idea, easier way. Yeah? Usually it's so obvious, yeah. Thing that we constantly remind ourselves, yeah. So it even happened with us, yeah, that there was a client, and we started, it was all about performance, it was great, and then simply, we had to say thank you, that doesn't work for us. Something has to change. If you're not willing, it's okay. Yeah, and being detached. Yeah, not forcing somebody in your way of thinking. That's a big challenge that I see. Yeah, and allowing people to accept this or not. Yeah, most of the people, that most of us are intelligent to a certain level. Yeah, sooner or later see the how things are. Yeah, but in a given moment when we are trapped in our own problems, yeah, let's say that somebody running a small business, yeah, sad reality is that most of small businesses are just surviving, yeah, and it's difficult to step back and do exactly what we are talking. That's the challenge that I see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Thank you, Matej. Yeah. Gasper, I'm sure
So
that
yeah.
you have you have a number of experiences in this area too, from your various things that you do.
Yeah, I would say if you come at a crossroad with a client, uh, let's say marketing related, and the client as a business owner, I think it really comes down to whether or not they choose to listen to you. And I'm not saying they should listen to me, that I'm right 100% of the time, but in most cases, we do have more experience than them in this environment. So we know what to expect and what to consult on. And whether or not you choose to follow my instructions, my suggestions, that's completely up to you. And if you don't agree with them, fine. It's also fine with me, because it's your thing to try, it's your thing to test out and put the money in, put the time in. But also on the other hand, there needs to be interest from the client side that they actually want to do this. And with interest, there also comes time that they have to input. I mean, yeah, we do provide a whole service as in digital marketing, but if we don't have the time from the owner to listen about the results, to listen about the path that we're going on, it doesn't make much sense, because there isn't compatibility. We see things from our end, the data, the conversions, revenue, everything, but we don't know how the actually owner perceives that value. How is that added to him? So I think the communication between the client and, let's say, a marketing agency such as ourselves is crucial to where we're going in the future and where we are right now. One day the client can say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not because of the results, it's simply because he doesn't have time to understand what's happening. And I think in most cases, this is the problem, where we said, okay, let's go our own ways. And sooner or later they come back, because they think about stuff, they take the time to go over it, and they say, hey, these guys were right about that. So
Do you think
they came
AI
back.
is helping this type of communication or not?
AI, I would say it's making it more complicated, because I was dealing with clients that, let's say, you give them an overview, present the results and everything, and they go ask AI to help them understand what it is. And AI cannot be 100% reliable for those things. And In one case, I said, okay, let's do it as AI said. Let's make those recommendations that AI said, and we saw a drop by 50%. So,
wow, yeah. Matteo, how do you see this as regards to communication? Yeah, what would you say about AI?
I think it's directly related to the conversation we had last time with Andrei. And it depends who is using this, yeah. So for minds, because at the end, I think we can all agree that it's still a tool, yeah. Just a different type of a tool, yeah. So if the mind, person that is using this tool is running, doesn't work on clarity, this type of a mind, yeah, then it will be even a bigger chaos, yeah. And sadly, that's the majority, sadly, yeah, not pointing fingers, but sadly, yeah. But those that actually take time, go deeper, and actually, because it's something that many people say, but it's trash in, trash out, yeah. So if you take time, if you clarify your thoughts, if you would like to use these things, tools as your, let's say, brainstorming companion, researcher, whatever you choose, yeah, then it can enhance you, yeah. Then it's interesting, yeah. But not to, there is this trap, yeah, not to see that there is actual human relationship. There's no relationship, yeah. You will get back what is just mirroring you, yeah. And that's what I see, yeah. And I think that we will see more of this with time, yeah, especially next year, yeah. Now, if this is good or bad, who am I to judge? But yeah.
But it's interesting, the word mirroring, because if someone is looking for results quickly and they're quite desperate and they're not seeing the larger picture, maybe the mirroring effect is very attractive, no?
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe before we round up, this conversation, I think it's quite obvious. We are all in agreement that trust is a, let's say, competitive advantage if we are talking about branding, yeah. But what's your advice for, let's say, small to medium sized businesses? Maybe one diamond, Paul, yeah, and put Gaspar.
Can I put that diamond in the form of a question, if you don't mind?
Thank you. Yeah. It depends for who. Depends for who.
Because then everyone else can also ask themselves that same question,
yeah,
if they want to, or their friends. Because we are in this for decades, all of us. Okay, Gaspar, maybe not for decades, but over 10 years. You're in digital reality, and I'm in marketing and personal branding for over 40 years. If if there was a referendum, if there was an option for all of us collectively, to decide to go back to doing things a simpler way, slower way, and we simply removed online. We simply removed digital and mobile phones, and we just had faxes and telegrams, and we were communicating and working and selling and buying and marketing in more or historical organic ways, more organic ways. Would you go for that? Which way would you go? Would you say yes or no to that? You would want to continue the way we are going, or would you be one of those who would vote for the older ways of doing stuff?
The existing ways.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong. This is a very personal thing.
I would actually go for a combination of both if possible. So because the thing with technology is that, for example, all the knowledge that you learn in a year can be duplicated in half a year the next year. So what I'm trying to say is that the technology moves on too fast. and it would be better if it moved organically, as you said. So maybe not entirely wiping out the whole digital network and everything, but just to slow down the how would I say, the improvement in that space,
The evolution of
the evolution. Yeah.
of how we use this technology. Yeah. What about you, Matej?
Yeah, because you said one or another option. Yeah, absolutely. I would prefer the middle ground. Yeah, but when I said middle ground, yeah, just the pure essence of communication. How I think it was one part of this technology intended to be. Let's say you are in Brazil, I am in Slovenia, Spain, or vice versa. It's nice to have WhatsApp or whatever we choose to have this. To continue the relationship. Long distance. Yeah, this I would miss. Yeah, but still you can do it. I'm still that generation that we were actually sending letters. Yeah, and had like friends. On the other side, and it had a certain charm. Yeah. So because you asked me, yeah, if I would have to choose, if I would be forced to choose, yeah, then I would say yes, because it would be a fair. It would be a fair situation for, if there is a fairness. Yeah, for everyone. Yeah. So if I would be forced, yeah, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah. Nice.
So thank you, Gaspar. Thank you, Paul. Nice to chat with you. And let's continue next time on something that is, interesting in a given moment. Yeah, challenges always arise. So I think in this fast, automated reality, it's good to remind ourselves that still it's about trust and relationships. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. See you soon again.
See you soon.